making this book look so beautiful. And I want to thank my poet friends, for if not for them, I wouldn't have been able to really write this book. They helped so much. And for my partner, and Thea, who is on the back of this book, and my partner, Bob, who read almost all of these poems, whether he liked it or not. And I learned never bring poetry into bed. Okay. This is a new one. This is about Yom Kippur, and Yom Kippur is a Jewish holiday. It's called the Day of Atonement, where you're repenting for your sins. You usually go to a body of water where there's fish, and you throw bread in the water. So, the Day of Atonement. On the Day of Atonement, I took 3 buses and walked a couple miles to Laurelhurst Park to cast my sins in the pond. I brought a whole bag of goldfish crackers and a bottle of water. At the park, I walked down a steep hill, past the dog park, and 2 teenage girls smoking pot under an evergreen. When I got to the metal fence surrounding the pond, the sign said closed. It had recently been drained. I was hungry, so I started to eat the crackers. They tasted good, still fresh. A couple of ducks were quacking towards me, so I threw them a bunch. And then a flock of pigeons came over, furiously pecking at the crumbs. A little boy asked me for crackers for his Shih Tzu, so I gave them each a handful. A homeless guy asked me for change. Sorry, I told him, I don't have any money. Then I reached into my bag of crackers, handing him the remainder of my sins. So this book is called In These Voices, and pretty much each poem is a different voice. So please keep that in mind. This first poem is called Grammar Lessons. Oh, I should just say, I was at English as a second language teacher for 20 years, so there's a little truth in this. Grammar lessons. When my students ask me how to use the future tense, I tell them that we use will for a promise or a threat. I will always love you, for example. And to make a plan, we use the present continuous. I'm divorcing him. And when they ask about the simple past, he loved me a long time ago. It's not that simple, I tell them. There's certainly nothing perfect about the present perfect. I have loved you since the day I met you. By definition, I ask them, does this mean he stopped loving me? But loving is a non-continuous verb. Loving, I tell them, is incorrect. And for the modals, though confused, I know I still have their interest. I may, I might, I should, I could keep going, but I won't. Instead, I tell them, love is full of tenses. Okay, this next poem won the Poet's First Choice at the Oregon Society of Poets. Okay. Don't bother the flowers. When Grandma told me to stop buying her flowers, I didn't know what to do with the daffodils I was holding in my hand. Should I throw them in the garbage disposal or put them in the trash? Put them in a vase. I started worrying about flowers withering, stalks drooping, shriveled leaves, and dried up petals falling to their death. Swiveling around the kitchen in the lime green padded chair, I noticed the striped yellow wallpaper matched the crocheted placemats, the napkin holders, the quilted toaster cover. I wasn't supposed to touch anything. Her notepads, grocery lists, paper-clipped coupons, the newspaper obituaries of people she didn't know, marked and highlighted with a red felt tip pen. Okay. My wife got sick. My wife got sick and stayed in bed. My bed is like a boat, she said, floating down an ancient river with the current between my toes. I hear the cries of reptilian birds, long-legged and fierce. Their razor beaks pierced flapping fish, swallowing them down whole. I offered my wife a spoonful of soup, held it to her thin, dry lips. But the soup dripped down her chin and onto her gown. I've seen rivers, she said. I've seen fish jump and 50 more fly. I've never seen you cry, she told me, holding my hand in hers, like moss clean to stone. Okay. Orange Crush. I saw my man put $1 in the soda machine to buy a Coke, but the Coke didn't come out. Instead, what came out was an Orange Crush. My man was banging that machine so hard with his fist, yelling, "God damn it, goddamn machine." But when he got the Orange Crush, he drank it anyway. Why? I asked him. Because it's here. I'm thirsty. You get used to it. You get used to a lot of things, he said. I'll never get used to losing you, I told him. How's the time here? Let's see. A kind of disaster. I've known earthquakes in my home, pots being thrown, plates crashing into one another, drapes closing in the afternoon. I felt the boom boom above my head, above my bed, and watched my dolls shake their heads. I don't know what it must have felt like afterwards, what she must have felt. I never got to see her exhausted mess on the floor. Still, I lay there waiting for something to happen or change, for her to come get me so I could hold her. Seriously, how much time do I have? It's only 6:30.
You have a half hour.
Alright, we did this in our group. I saw my Linda banging a fat nail into the kitchen wall, but the nail wouldn't budge. Thump, thump, thump was all she can do. Ooh-wee, she cried. My, Linda, I told you I'd love you till the day I died. Her face was turning red as a beet. Plastic pink fingernails went falling to her feet. Oh, Linda, I couldn't lie. I told you I'd love you till the day I died. Just then, I felt so bad. Was there something I could do? Give her a hand, lend her my drill? I knew if Linda saw me hiding behind the bedroom door, I'd be the plaster and paint falling to the floor. Okay. Just a couple more. This one is called The Greatest Jewish Cowboy. Again, this is a persona poem, right? Okay. The Greatest Jewish Cowboy, my grandfather. My grandfather covered me in his arms in his old wool coat, too itchy for me, too warm to complain. I could never complain of the stories my grandfather whispered in my ears, the good guys, the bad guys, the Nazis. While his distressed eggs cracked inside the covered pot, the tea kettle whistled like a tightly packed train. Cats fought with chickens on the fire escape. An old shoe held the windows open just enough to keep out the snow. I imagine my grandfather in his cowboy hat and snakeskin boots, riding his horse through the desert, shooting at scorpions, spiders, and rattlesnakes, yelling out, "Yee-haw!" I listened to his voice echo through the canyon while lightning split open the sky. I saw my grandfather catch the Nazis crawling out from under the rocks. He lassoed them, their necks, roped their arms and legs, and branded them with a red-hot iron. Then he dragged those fuckers into the barn. Someone lit a shed and everyone danced around the fire. He'd laugh and laugh. My grandfather died while I was sleeping. I wanted him to tell me more stories, to say my name, to look at me. I wanted him to pinch my cheek and tell me that everything was okay. I heard myself say to him, "Please hold me close in your coat. Keep me warm. Pull me close so I can whisper, 'I love you' in your ear." And this last poem was published in the Palming Pigeon. There's poetry in these rooms. There is poetry in these rooms, in the folds of our sheets, the sweat of your brow, the ease of language of what we say and what we don't say. It's the crease of your skin, paper thin and smooth, like a letter pressed between pages of an old book. It's a musty kiss, tossed chips under the bed with dust and magazines. It's the taste of salt on your neck, our morning breath, the sprouts you still call hair. It's the yipping of the neighbor's dogs, creaking and moaning floors. It's the streetlight that shines through our blinds we call our moon. Thank you.